on? What's going on? What's going on, family? What's going on, family? How are you guys doing today? Go ahead and put some ones. If y'all love what you heard so far, put some ones. Drop some ones in the chat, man. I'm fired up. I'm fired up. Put some ones in the chat, family. We gotta normally always really kind of prepare our minds, right? You got to guide your mind in when it comes down to hearing something, being a part of something. So put some ones. Tell me where you guys are calling in from. Go ahead and type it up in the chat. Put some ones in there. I'm super excited for this call today. Everyone, I'm fired up. Guys, thank you again for joining. It's always so much love to have all of you on here every Monday. Wherever you're calling in from, whether we're on Facebook, whether we're on Clubhouse, wherever it is. I love it. I love it. I love it, guys. I'm fired up about today. How are you guys doing, guys? Tell me, is there energy in the house? Is there energy in the house? Is there energy in the house? How are you guys doing today? Is there energy in the house? Is there energy in the house? How are you guys feeling? Let me know if there's energy in the house by typing the word energy in there. Let me know if there's energy in the house by typing the word energy in. And go ahead, guys, go ahead and kind of, send those messages out. I always tell you guys when you join on, invite a friend, tag a friend. Don't just take all the information. Some of us, we're like, hold on a minute, I want all this information. Somebody else want the information too, right? So let's get them to get some of this information as well. We need everybody to be a part of what's going on. And I'm excited about today's call. Guys, we've been treating that series that we've been running with, right? I want to know if there's anyone who joined back on from before. I want to know if you guys have been taking notes. I want to know if you guys have been logging. Who remembers the name of the series, what we've been treating? Who remembers the name of the series, what we've been treating? I want to know if you guys have been taking notes, if you guys have been documenting, right? Who remembers? Type it up for me. I want to see if anybody remember the name of the series that we've been treating. I want to make sure that we are on the same page, family. I want to make sure that we are on the same page. Is anybody aware of or remember what we've been treating? Because I want to make sure that you guys have been taking this information and applying this information, right? We've been running with this series, and I said there's so much, so many components to this series. And I want to make sure that everyone has been following protocol. So now, if you have or if you haven't, and you got your pads now, if your pad isn't with you, you know that we've been talking about self-awareness. Wow, I see somebody typed it up. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. We've been talking about self-awareness, right? But as we go in further with that series, ladies and gentlemen, today I took a swing. I took a swing today. And I said, you know what, we're talking about self-awareness, but this have a lot to do with it. But I'm going to really put a pause for a second on this series, because I want to make sure that to understand, right, self-awareness and to understand the direction that we're going, then we must understand a few other things, right? And today's series was birthed in a dialogue I was having with a colleague. I was having this dialogue with a colleague, and we were talking about strategic conversations that what we have here, right? And in this our dialogue, the name came up. This word was mentioned, and I said, wait a minute. Oh my gosh! This dialogue that we were having gave me a very important topic that takes root in what we've been treating or teaching on the self-awareness. So today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, is called indecisiveness. Indecisiveness. So write it down and hold on to that. Some of you right now, just hearing the word, you probably said to yourself, oh my gosh, wow, oh my gosh, indecisiveness. So it's so important for us to understand that when we were talking about being self-aware, right? When we're talking about being self-aware, that we must also understand that as we grow in that space, and I was giving you guys these different dialogues, and we're taking all these notes from teaching in regards to self-awareness, the treatment, that this topic, this word, indecisiveness, is extremely important. It is extremely important. I want to make sure that you guys understand this indecisiveness. So, for some of you who might be driving, you can listen. If you have your other phone, you record. So at least you can at least be able to have the information to document it. And if you're sitting still, then you want to document. You want to grab your notepads, right? Because this is really important for us to understand. Indecisiveness. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in when you hear that word indecisiveness, right? When you hear that word indecisiveness, I want you to let that word sink in for a second, ladies and gentlemen, right? And I'm going to go ahead and say to you all, just what are the characteristics of an indecisive person? When you think about that, what are the characteristics of an indecisive person? You know, we've been talking about self-awareness. What are characteristics of an indecisive person? Okay, that's right. See, some people typing already. I got one person typing. Come on, family. I know you guys are out there. I want to make sure that you guys are on the same page with me. What are the characteristics of an indecisive person? See, check this out, guys. When you think about an indecisive person have a hard time making decisions. An indecisive person have a hard time making decisions. Come on, somebody. That's what I'm saying. I see you guys typing it up. They have a hard time making decisions, and it may be it might be a very stressful situation, okay, when they have to do so. Very stressful when that indecisive person have to make a decision. See, an indecisive person, that's right, they're more easily influenced by others with strong opinions. An indecisive person, they're more easily influenced by others with strong opinions. And for them, they may even prefer someone else to make the final call. Do you know a person like that? Say to yourself, well, man, that might be me. I mean, some of us like, well, that might be me. They may even want that other person with a strong opinion to make that call because they struggle with that decision-making process. See, when you look at indecisiveness, what does it say about a person? What does that really say? When we look at that, right? I said difficulties in making decisions. That can be caused by a few factors, right? It can be caused such as fear, failure, lack of confidence, or information. See, indecisiveness can also be a symptom, because for some people, of mental health conditions, right? It can be a symptom for some people of mental health conditions, such as ADHD, PTSD. These things can allow someone to also be indecisive. But then when we talk about the masses of individuals that have difficulties in making decisions, an indecisive person. So let's look at that. What is the personality type? What is the personality type of the most indecisive type of individuals? What are the personality type? Because see, a lot of times we run into this problem, maybe among our business. We may struggle with that ourselves, or you might be someone who hasn't been like that, but then individuals around you, and then you've never understood why. Or you may say, okay, what's going on here? Why is she or he so indecisive in making a decision? And then if you really took notes of yourself, you may say, well, wow, I'm jumping here, but I really still have a struggle with actually executing all the way out. I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to think about that. So what personality type is most indecisive? What personality type? Okay. Now, there is a study, it's called the Myers-Briggs personality test. The Myers-Briggs personality test, right? And it was formed, this Myers-Briggs personality test was created by Isabella Briggs Myers and her mom. And this test called MBTI has been used in studying the type of personalities, and maybe about 2 million individuals they utilize this test every year in understanding personality types when it comes down to indecisiveness. I want to make sure you guys get that, right? When it comes down to indecisiveness, you can pull that up, the Myers-Briggs test. You can always search that and research it, so you guys will have the information that really is so impactful with going through that test to see really where you stand with the type of personality that you have. Because a lot of times we may think, well, I'm good, I got this. And then you realize, wow, I really don't have it. I don't got this. Okay. Now, so these tests, when they have done these type of tests, they talk about the indecisiveness of individuals. They really speak on a group of individuals when they start talking about what type of personalities are indecisive. And they jump right into, out of the in personality type, and you guys want to document, there's called the INFP type of personality, right? There's the INTP types of personality, all right? There's the INFJ types of personality. We're going to talk about 4 today. And there's the INTJ types of personality. Now, I want you to understand this, right? Out of the INFP and the INTP, right? The struggle, they struggle with the most indecisiveness. Those two, INFP and the INTP, they struggle with the most indecisiveness when it comes down to the personality trait. Now, some of you're going to be saying, okay, so what does this mean, right? So let's talk about that for a second, right? Let me break down the 4 really quick for you so you can take some notes, right? Number 1, the INTP. Let's talk about the INTP. What that means is introverted, intuitive thinking perspective. Introverted, intuitive thinking perspective. That's the INTP. And this Myers-Briggs study, they've studied over the 16 personality types and break them down to really make sure you understand why this has happened or is happening, okay? So INTP, we're talking about introverted, intuitive thinking perspective. And I'll give you number 2 before we dive in, right? I'll give you number 2. Then there's the INFJ. Write that down. INFJ. INFJ. And that's introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. Introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. That's introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys the understanding of those real quick, and then we will dive in. Now, number 3, I'm going to give you is the INTP. The INTP. INTP, okay, is the introverted, intuitive, and thinking personality. Introverted, intuitive, and thinking personality. Or personalities, you know, these individuals, right? And then lastly, number 4 is the INTJ. 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 Right? INTJ. And that stands for the introverted, intuitive thinking and judging. Introverted, intuitive thinking and judging. Again, it's introverted, intuitive thinking and judging. You guys got that? Okay. Now, the INFP type of personality is more focused on authenticity and inner feeling, right? And that INTP thinks about impersonal logic when you start talking about these personalities, right? And the INFJ, they're best at reading people. They're best at reading people, talking on their feelings and creating a sense of compromise, love, and value between everyone. Okay. I want to make sure that we are on the same page, right? I want to make sure that we are on the same page. Now, that TP and TJ, they're both introverted personalities, as we talked about, preferring to act independently. Those two, that INTP and INTJ, they're personalities that prefer to act independently. They focus on the future, and they make decisions logically. However, the TP dislike planning too far in advance. See, the TP, they dislike planning too far in advance. And y'all, because somebody gonna hear something about themselves today, right? While the TJ prefers following rules and schedule. While the TPs who dislike planning in advance, but the TJs prefer following rules and schedule. Now, let me give you guys a little backstory. The dialogue we were having today for a major business proposition that we were developing, and the indecisiveness, the word indecisiveness came up because of one of the characters who were supposed to be doing something major. And it's been 4 years in the process that that individual lacked the oomph to move forward. It's not an issue of money. It's not an issue of what will be done cannot be a product that will be brought to market and be something amazing. But the individual lacks the oomph to push and start and execute. Instead, that individual wants someone to hold their hand and walk them all the way through, and not only walk them through, but then spoon feed them. And this is how that word indecisiveness came up. And this is why we're having this dialogue right now, because it was like, hold on a minute. A lot of the times we seek to acquire greatness, to be in a position that will allow us to see the things or achieve the things that we want. But then what happens? What happens is that we cannot see it through, because most of our thinking process is operating on one side of the scale. See, I want you guys to think about something for a second. You got a mass of people and they're divided into two. And there's a side that's 95% and there's a side that's 5%. But what happens if you put an apothecary scale, a giant scale, where it shows the balance of those two things hanging, right? You got a 95% and you got a 5%, and the 95 will always outweigh the 5. But yet the 5% is the ones that always get the information or acquire the word that needs to be taken, create an action, and applied the application so that you will get the reward. But then the 95% who have the same access would choose the road that's most traveled instead of the one that's less traveled. So you want to think about something, ladies and gentlemen. When you take a highway that's full of traffic, what will happen? I want somebody to think about that and type it in the chat. If you take a highway that everyone is traveling on, what happens? And then if you take a highway that less is traveling on, but it will get you to the destination, what do you think will happen? I want you to think about that for a second. And see, so a lot of the times what has happened with us is that we're so indecisive with seeing, come on, somebody, that's what I'm talking about, delays, with seeing the road that needs to be taken, okay? That's with seeing the road that needs to be taken. I need somebody to be with me here, all right? I need somebody to be with me here, because a lot of the times we don't see this. But we believe that because the masses is moving in a direction, that is where we must go. Come on. That is where we must go. And we don't understand that the outcome is not going to be what we want because that road has too much traffic. See, here's the thing. Let's look at this, right? When we look at these personality types, and we look at someone being, one of these in personalities, I would say, use the word IN, one of these in personalities, right? It's common for the in type, like yourself, right, to get caught up with learning the different types of personalities. I want to tell you this, right? And as we dive in and we talk about this, let's have that dialogue, right? With the impersonality, some of these impersonalities, as you guys have your notes that you should have been taking, then you can reflect to it, right? If you took the breakdown of what I gave you with the four, right? Now, some of us, we struggle to take action. We struggle to take action. I want you to think about that. See, most in-personality types are growth-minded, right? And have a love of learning. Some of the personalities, right? The NPs, right? They have a love of learning, but they're notoriously bad in taking action. The NPs, they're notoriously bad in taking action. See, the reluctance to act is the results of a perfect, right? Check this out. In the INJs and the indecisiveness in the INPs. The reluctance to act is the result of the perfection that these particular INJs or INPs will have. See, for the in type, learning is natural. Check this out. It's natural. But personal development shouldn't be something that comes easy. I want you to understand this. The challenge are what helps us to grow. The challenges is what helps us to grow. So personal development cannot be easy. It must be challenging. So when you decide that, okay, well, hey, I'm take the road with everybody because they know where they're going. That other road right there, I don't know. Nobody's really talking about that road. That is exactly why you should be taking that road. That is exactly why you should make the decision to go that route. So you can go through the challenges that it will take. Instead of it being a distraction, traveling on the road of the mass. Come on, somebody. I'm hoping you guys are following me. If you're following me, put some sevens in the chat. If you're following me, put some sevens in the chat. If you're following me, put some sevens in the chat, family. If you're following me, put some sevens in the chat. I want to know if you guys are with me right now. I want to know if we're on the same page. I want to know if we're on the same page. I want to know if we're on the same page. I want to make sure everybody's in the same place with me. Because I want to make sure that everybody is getting this. I want to make sure that everybody is grasping exactly what I'm putting out. See, a lot of the times we're getting information and we are deflecting the information. We're not letting the information come in, settle, so that we could absorb the information and we can run with the information once it makes sense. We can apply what we want, what we need of that into our lives. See, I said to you guys that we struggle to take actions, right? We struggle to take action. Number two is we can be reluctant to change. That indecisiveness, it would make you reluctant to change. See, the in-personality they're open to the concept of change. I know you know some people like that. Open to the concept of change, but the reality of change itself can be intimidating and frustrating. Come on, somebody. The reality of change can be intimidating and frustrating. See, as an intuitive introvert, check this out. These types often struggle, these type of individuals, to figure out where and how they fit in the world. Remember, years ago I taught on introvert, but I want to make sure you understand that we're now talking about indecisiveness, right? As an intuitive introvert, these types of individuals, they struggle to figure out how to fit in the world. And why? Because of this. Because they often struggle to resonate with traditional growth methods. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. They struggle with traditional growth methods rather than seek alternative methods or develop a workaround. Some of these individuals, some of the types will decide that it's easier to give up instead of continuing to pursue the method that don't seem to be working. Come on, somebody. How many people you know that love to throw the towel in? How many of us has thrown the towel in? Well, this is traditional, so I don't like it, so I'm just going to give up. See, this decision, ladies and gentlemen, it's often made prematurely. See, hold on to that, because we believe, and I said we, all of us, believe that it should happen this time by this time. And if it's not the way that we like it, instead of doing a workaround, we throw in the towel and we give up prematurely when you cannot see 20 feet ahead of you that you've already hit the goalposts. So you gave up prematurely. In moments of, how does that happen? Burnouts and frustration. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. We give up on burnouts and frustration. This is very important for you to understand. Yet, growth necessarily involves situation that requires personal discomfort. Come on, come on. See, this is what that individual that I'm telling you about, the 4-year stint, the 4-year stretch, didn't want to have to deal with. Growth necessarily involves personal discomfort. Absolutely. And so many in types, the in types, we call them the introverts, right? And we're talking about these different types of introverts. Many of the in types, they feel inclined to give up mere moments before actual change begins to happen. See, it's important for us to push. It's important for them to push through the challenging moments and embrace the transformation. Somebody type embrace for me. Somebody type embrace for me. It's important to embrace the transformation. Very important. So one of the tips on you embracing that is break down those goals. Break those goals down into small, daily, weekly, or monthly actions. Break those goals down. You want to know how to make it happen? Break them down into weekly or monthly action, daily. Break those goals down. This way, you can celebrate each accomplishment. You can celebrate each accomplishment. Now you can track. You can track them now. You can track how far you've come, because now you've broken down those goals. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, somebody put 7 in the chat. If it makes sense, somebody put 7 in the chat. If it makes sense, somebody put 7 in the chat, because I want to make sure we understand how we can be better and be effective and not be indecisive, because now we understand these steps by breaking down these goals, right? Now, here's the thing about the in personality. Remember, I was telling you guys about not wanting the traditional things, but then don't want to do a workaround. Here's the thing about the in personalities, right? That you guys are looking at some. They're perfectionists. They are perfectionists. See, the in personality type is perfectionist, especially the INFJ and the INTJ. They struggle with perfectionism. I want y'all to think about that for a second. See, when you struggle with perfectionism, they often feel pressure to live up to the expectation of others, as well as their own extremely high expectation. See, there's one thing about now you living up to that of others, expectation of others, but now you yourself, you're so hard on you. You have extremely high expectations. But see, with action, there is always the possibility of failure for these individuals because of that high level of expectation they have. See, the INJs want to avoid failure at all costs. They always want to avoid it. We got to avoid failure at all costs. I'm a perfectionist. I got to dot all I's, cross all T's. I got to go back over this triple check. Do you know yourself? Somebody following me? Is somebody hearing me? Is somebody hearing me? I got to go back over this. I got to do it again. I got to look at it again. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I got to do this, right? They want to avoid failure at all costs. They want to avoid failure at all costs. Because it's something that greatly, ladies and gentlemen, impacts them mentally and emotionally. By avoiding failure at all costs, it's something that mentally and emotionally impact them, right? And because of their perfectionism, it is easy for those INJs to focus solely on their strength while ignoring their weaknesses. Come on, somebody. I'm hoping somebody hearing me. They focus on their strengths while ignoring their weaknesses. So those INJs are usually very aware of their limitations and will spend a lot of time learning how they can improve them. However, check this out. However, action in these areas is often clumsy and awkward, which makes those INJs feel extremely vulnerable. Because remember, they're developing the strengths more and more and more and ignoring the weaknesses. Rather than taking an uncomfortable action, right? Rather than taking an uncomfortable action, they will learn as much as they can to reduce any chance of failure. So they're trying to, if I can only maximize on the greatness of me, I'm not worrying about my weaknesses. But you and I both know that we have to look at the weaknesses if we're to be decisive, if we're to be effective, if we're to make sure that we are not stuck in indecisiveness. We got to not only look at the strong points, they're done, but now let's look at the weaknesses and understand how to better get it fixed, work on it, to be able to put things in place that will be of support. See, just like you can become a star quarterback simply by learning the entire history of football, those INJs need uncomfortable action to truly grow. You cannot grow, ladies and gentlemen, unless you have an uncomfortable action, a process that you must go through. So what do you want to do to become better in this space? I always tell people, see, what's amazing is every maybe month, my wife would buy a new book, buy a new journal, a few of them, and she'd just come and say, hey, here's a book. Here's another book that you need. Document everything in there. I put it in my notes, typing it up in the iPod or in the iPad or in the phone, but she like document into your book. Because keeping records is a blueprint to what you have done, so you know what not to do and how to be effective on what to do. So what I would say for an individual like that is keep a journal or a notebook. Set specific times throughout the day to check in on your emotions. You heard that? Specific time throughout the day to check in on your emotions. Because now you're keeping a journal or a notebook. Did you feel vulnerable at this particular point in your day because of, all right? Did you feel uncomfortable at this particular time of the day because of? Did you feel frustrated at this particular time of the day because of? And then at the end of each day, take some time to review your notes. Take some time to review your notes, and you may want to write out how you prefer to handle some of these moments in the future. You don't want to wait till a week later because you've been tracking and documenting. So guess what? The end of that day, take a few minutes, take a few moments, look at things and say, wow, at this time I felt this way. How would I handle that later on? At this time I felt that way. How would I handle this later on? See, it's a blueprint to becoming a grounded and stable person. It's a blueprint to be able to be an individual who, once you gather all the information, the decision-making process is swiftly. It helps you to become a grounded individual and not an indecisive one. If you guys are with me, put some 7 in the chat. If you guys are with me, put some 7s in the chat. If you're with me, put some 7s in the chat. Now, one of the things is number 4, we struggle with indecisiveness. Those ins personalities struggle heavily with decisiveness, right? Out of the ins personality type, that INFP and that INTP that I spoke to you all about earlier struggle the most with indecisiveness. INFPs and the INTPs struggle the most with indecisiveness. Okay? These types can see endless possibilities. You may know somebody like that. It may be you. They can see endless possibilities, which makes it difficult for them to gain the closure they need to move forward, because it's so much, all of these things. Wow, this is amazing. This avenue, that avenue. So guess what? When that happens, it's difficult to gain closure in order to move forward. So those INPs, they may struggle to identify a strong sense of purpose and direction. That's what happens there. When there's all these things, you struggle, right? You struggle to identify that sense of purpose and direction, because it's so much that you have seen on possibilities and avenues that you believe will work. See, you're aware of the many options available, but you lack the confidence. You're aware of the options, but lack the confidence in their ability. So in your ability, you lack the confidence in your ability to choose the best option. To choose the best option. Now, I need you guys to understand something. When I was growing up and I started the journey of seeking to achieve what I consider greatness at the time, I always seem to be, I can start, but then when I get to where I should finish, I was looking for a cosigner. Does somebody know somebody like that? I was looking for a cosigner. I would start and I'm moving, but I was looking for a cosigner, right? To cosign for me, right? What I started, what I believe was good for me, I was looking at a cosigner to literally cosign on that. See, this is what this is saying. Lacking the confidence. That's what I lacked. I lacked the confidence. Now, I was younger, but it taught me as I grew that, wow, if the information and the change through the process doesn't come, then I will be that same individual 10, 20, 30 years later. So we like to say, well, no, you're young. Well, it's going to change when you get older. No, nothing will change if there's no action and no application towards the change. So you say, now, how would you know what actions to take? How would you know what to apply? Well, see, on the journey, you got to start learning and you got to be teachable and coachable. Because once you've started the journey, some amazing things happen where people start coming in your vicinity, meaning people start getting positioned, like if you're playing a chess game. And then those people, you become wiser with the discernment to know, well, this individual has been teaching me. So now I can get the mentorship that is needed in this lane. And it might just be for a period of time to get me to the next lane. If you're with me, type with me. If you're with me, type with me. If you're with me, type with me. I want to know that you guys are listening. I want to know that you guys are with me. If you're with me, type with me. See, when you're indecisive, that indecisive nature makes it difficult for those INPs to transition their goals from concept to reality. That's what I was just talking about. It makes it difficult to change those goals from concept to reality. I want you to understand something. A lot of times people like to say, oh, well, listen, I'm doing this and it is done. It is done. I believe it. It is done. Let's just be clear, because I don't want anyone operating in false hope and false faith. It is only done when the work that you have done, the service that you have done, amongst to the level in which it needs to amount to. Why? Understand this. You can never acquire more than the service you've put out. So if you say it's done, but you stopped, then you can't get the benefit because you stopped doing what? Working. So to be a person that's not indecisive and that person that is seeking that goal, you have to put in that work. And you have to be consistent with the work. And you cannot stop working. I'm hoping somebody's getting me. I'm hoping somebody is getting me. I'm hoping somebody is getting me. Because this is extremely important for us to understand how important this is when we talk about lacking the confidence, the ability to choose the right option, that indecisive nature that makes it difficult for those goals to transition from concept to reality. This is extremely important. See, when they do try, that type of individual try to take action, those IN types, they're often frustrated. This is what happened. You're frustrated by the practical obstacles that is in your face. These type of individuals, they're frustrated by those practical obstacles that they face. So it can cause them to give up and withdraw into a world of isolation and autonomy. Come on, somebody. You may know people like this. You might have gone through this at some stage in your life. You might be going through it now. Because since these types of people are so independent, this withdrawal feels natural and comfortable. Come on. I'm hoping somebody's getting me. Spending time alone with their thoughts, ideas, and imagination is a space many of these in types would hide away in forever. They would hide away into this space, their thoughts, their private space, if it were an acceptable option. They would stay there. However, that discomfort with that practical reality or that outside world prevents them from taking actions that will lead to growth. You cannot retreat into self, but expect a great outcome because you have to go through the practical steps. See, their knowledge and ideas are nothing more than just that knowledge and ideas. Come on, somebody. That type of individual, all this grand that they've thought of, their knowledge and ideas are nothing but just knowledge and idea. Not, I want y'all to get it, not completion. You got a concept, we got a concept, but we don't have a completed process because we've retreated into ourselves because we don't like those practical steps, those things that we will face that will really put a beating on us. But we don't understand that the beating is a process. See, I want y'all to think about it this way. Most of us, at some point in our life, like diamonds. But no one ever say to themselves, what happens if I am that diamond? And if I am that diamond, the process to become a diamond, what if I can imagine, as vast as my imagination is, whatever that process is, if I had to go through that process, would I really want to be a diamond? Would I want to go through that compression, that compacting, that force, that time to become what I so love as a diamond. See, we all like the end, but most of us don't like the process. This is what they're talking about. So what it's talking about. So when your knowledge and idea is nothing but just knowledge and idea, what are some things that you can do? What are some of the things that I would say, hey, this type of person can do this? Well, here's what you do. Practice being assertive. Practice being assertive and vocalizing your opinion. Practice being assertive and vocalizing your opinion. You cannot be reclusive. You want to practice being assertive and vocalizing your opinion. Start by writing out why you feel strongly about something at work, something maybe at the organization that you're trying to build, something at school, or in your personal life, something that you've gotten pushback on recently. Start by writing it out. A great thing to do is ask a friend or a loved one, right? Someone who is of a different personality type, that is, to listen to you explain it and provide a feedback. Ask for that feedback on your communication style. Ask. So what do you think about such and such and what I've done and what I'm doing? And ask for that feedback. But be ready for their honesty. Be ready for their honesty. One of the things I tell people is great to start practicing speaking. It's one of the most feared things. Say, hey guys, practice public speaking. Go to those, what do they call them? Toastmasters. See, you're indecisive because you're a reclusive person. You're an introvert. But not an introvert that is introvert extroverted, an introvert that is running inside to hold on to these things without actually going through the process that will make you better. So I don't want you to hear introvert and say, well, because I'm an introvert, I'm not. No, that's not what I'm saying. It is because you are using this type that you are to affect yourself, not realizing you're affecting yourself because of the type of personality trait that you are. And this is why I was saying to you guys, it's great to study and to go and do this type of test, because it is extremely important for us to understand who we are, where we are, what we're doing, where we're going. Because if you have a layout of the land, then you have a better understanding on the direction that you must take. We can't just jump in and just go. It's as if you have a captain of a ship and he's going to a location. He's not just blindly going when he sets sail. He's navigating, and he understands that there is a point to which he must get to based on his longitude and latitude. He's not just jumping out there with the lack thereof, but he knows that there are steps that must be taken in order for him to get where he's going. But guess what? Though he put in that longitude and latitude and where he's going, there is still a process. The journey still has to be taken. And no matter how many times he's gone on this journey, he will encounter something that will make him grow, make him become better, make him understand that, wow, the road less traveled may be the road that I need to take to get to my destination. But I have to prepare for it. And I have to expect that there will be challenges along the way. So the decision must be made and made swiftly once I understand these things. If somebody's with me, go ahead and put some 7s in the chat. If somebody's with me, go ahead and put some 7s in the chat. See, Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We think we know more than we do. We think we know more than we do, because that impersonality types never really feel like they fit in. Some of us, we might have experienced this. You say, well, I don't really feel, or I don't feel like I fit in. You kind of seek refuge in what you know. That's what happens. And this leads many of these types of individuals to possess a strong confidence in their conviction, because you lean to what you know. You understand that these individuals understand that they see the world differently. They see the world differently. And this mindset can guide them in one or two directions. It can guide you in one or two directions. Either you begin to think everyone else is wrong and they are right, or everyone else is right and they are wrong. I want you to understand this. So let's discuss the former one first, really quick, which tends to occur more in the INFJ and the INTJ personalities. See, for these type, once an idea clicks, check this out, meaning it satisfied both their intuitive vision and their objective extrovert function, they are unlikely to change an opinion without a battle and an intense re-examination. These type of individuals, once it's set in their mind, they really don't change that opinion unless there's a battle, a re-examination of it. They're going to go through it really intense. See, they're open to exploring new ideas, but only when the idea fits within their greater vision. Y'all know some people like that? Because I slapped myself so many times going down the lane. Hold on, am I only trying to discuss this because it fits within what I think? We go through this process, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because of this, those INJs can easily miss opportunity for growth. Oh man, I've missed so many opportunities in my life. I've missed so many opportunities in my life because I was just pulling into, I know, and think I know. So I missed some opportunities. So what are some things I would say that type of personality should do? Because I've walked this road. As an INJ, I've walked this road. See, you're likely to have an idea of where you want to be in the future, for the most part. So then ask a trusted friend, or again, a loved one, to give you constructive criticism about your vision. See, a lot of us, we say, no, it's my vision. I don't need nobody in it. Well, see, remember that the vision, the vision didn't come for you. So if you start saying to yourself, I don't need to talk to nobody about, no. It says trusted. Hold on to that. Trusted friend or loved one. Because the vision didn't come for you. The vision came to do something bigger than you. Because you cannot live in the world by yourself. For we live to be a pleasing or a pleaser to others as the same way they are for us. Come on, somebody. So you want to ask somebody about that constructive criticism about the vision. Ask, is this realistic? Oh, that's hard for some of us. Is this realistic? Okay. What obstacles do you see preventing this from becoming a reality? Good question. What obstacles you want to ask, right? What areas could I improve on? What areas can I improve on? See, rather than getting defensive, practice patiently listening and thoughtfully, right, responding to their remarks. Practice, you heard that, patient listening. One of the things that we don't do, we listen to respond instead of listen to understand. Guys, I want to tell you guys this. They say that when I'm a man of faith, for I study the word that I believe in, that there's a creator, the Most High God. And according to my study, say he that founded a wife founded a good thing, but not only a good thing, but he obtained favor with the Lord, right? So when one join to another, it should enhance you. If you have a organization and you brought individuals in because you have a vision, those individuals, based on the vision and what you've proposed, should enhance the organization, right? Vice versa. You should be impactful to them that will enhance them, right? I need you guys to follow me. I need you to follow me because this is extremely important. See, when you ask the question, and you have to be patient and listen so that you can respond the right way. That individual that you've asked, they're giving you the criticism constructively that will enhance you should you listen to understand before being responsive. And because I follow a certain protocol in my life right now as I'm still a student learning, I realize because that one came into my life and has been an enhancement, I constantly get these same questions. These same questions, okay? Is this realistic? What obstacles do you see preventing? See, these are things that should be before you when you say you have this vision. These are things that should be before you when you decide that, look, I want to stand and be effective. Well, in order to be effective, we must understand that there's going to be a process. And in that process, there's going to be challenges. Challenges that will stretch you. Challenges that will create growth. Challenges that will allow an outcome greater than you can even see to happen. If, but only if, you can patiently listen and thoughtfully respond to their remarks. I want to tell you guys, we're going to hold on to that right now. We're going to hold on to that right now because we're going to conclude this session on its following Monday. I want you guys to hold on to that. I want you to understand that enhancement is necessary. And enhancement cannot just come from self. Enhancement will come through you being a student to understand that mentorship is necessary in every area of your life. Whether it is a physical mentor or one that you study, one that you read about, one that you listen to, so that you can take in the information and then you can treat it by putting it before trusted companions or a trusted individual. That's why it said trusted. So when we start moving, we don't voice our opinion rashly to say, I don't want anybody to hear this. No, it says trusted. So we have to approach it in a manner in which we are very careful, but open-minded and free, so that when the information comes out, they will receive the information as it's coming the right way to be able to give you the critical thoughts on what you're asking for. It helps tremendously in bringing a person from being indecisive to a decisive and an effective individual. So I want you guys to think about it as you move through this week. I want you guys to think about how effective you can be if you would only listen, right? Patiently listen. That should be at your heading for this week. Patiently listen so you can thoughtfully respond. Patiently listen so you can thoughtfully respond. I tell you, if you can only but practice that, the information that you need that will make you standing, fertile, and grounded to be a decisive person, it will not only blow your mind, but it will be beyond your expectations on what you will see, not only in your life, but in the lives of those around you. So let this week be a week of knowing, receiving, and understanding. See, knowing, receiving, and understanding, because you know what you're going out for. Receive what should come in that is already blessed for you, and understand what actions need to be taken as you move through this week. So I thank you guys as we will conclude on the following week. I thank you guys for joining today's Leadership Summit. I know right now some of you, you're getting this and you're like, okay, man, wow, let's keep going. But I really appreciate you all taking the time. And I want to make sure you guys understand, every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whether you're in the West Coast, whether you're in the Mountain Time, wherever you are in the world, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Put it in your reminders. Tell your friend, your family, your assistant, remind me that I need to be on with Mr. Boston at the Leadership Summit. And I want you guys to go on and type in the chat some of the topics that you may want to hear about. Because my team, the organization, we take that and we dive in. See, this topic, ladies and gentlemen, came to you all just from today's dialogue. We were treating something else. But because it came in such a wind, I was obedient to receive it and said, you know what? Let me dive in to be able to give them some nuts and bolts, to be able to understand where we're going. So I want you guys to understand the Myers-Briggs testing. You want to look that up. You want to look it up to say, well, wow, I can go through this assessment, this Myers-Briggs assessment of my personality type, right? So that I can understand this area of indecisiveness, so that I can better learn how to treat what's happening to me or what has happened, so that I can pass it down. I want to leave you guys with something to hold on to really, 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 really serious. Understand the concept that we've heard, that you can never teach an old dog new tricks. I want you guys to understand something. There is a process that you must go through, and the tricks or the new that you're thinking, it was a situation from young that has made that old dog the way that they are. So how you affect that is by giving the information and continuously giving the information that would be effective, that will be passing down through the mind of that old dog, where they will pass it down to generations below. So you don't worry about the old dog as in your concept of you cannot teach them new tricks. What you can do is give them effective information that will affect those coming up. And what you will see in the process is that there was a change in the old dog. And that change came from information that was able to be planted, watered, and now a harvest was coming from it, because now, guess what? The generation below has changed because they have obtained and absorbed a certain set of information. And now that old dog could have left a blueprint, a footprint that now that can be followed. That I want you guys to take with you throughout this week. So change is always possible. So you guys be blessed. You guys have a fantastic week. Love you guys. Again, it's Mr. Boston. Thank you for joining us on today's Leadership Summit with our topic, Indecisiveness. Again, ladies and gentlemen, love you guys. Y'all continue to bless. See you guys.